Bracket racing isn't just what we do, it's who we are. It's how we identify ourselves.
What does bracket racing mean to me? It's my life. It's where my people are. My idols, my family, my friends.
Bracket racing is life. Bracket life.
Hello and welcome back to the Bracket Life broadcast. Brandon here, once again, joined by my good friend Andrew Sturck. Andrew, I feel like it's been forever since we've spoke in general, let alone done a podcast together.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since this went down between just schedule issues and technical isures, and I think just what
somebody was down under for a little bit, and then so they had to come back above, with the rest of us here. So. Yeah, no, a lot going on, but great to be back hanging out, man. There's a lot of racing stuff that's went on. We're not going to be, I'm sure, be able to hit everything, and there's probably a lot of topics that we probably can't talk about on a like live like this. But yeah, it's great. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to hang out with you a little bit more. So before we get into the show, Andrew, let's talk about tonight's presenting sponsor for the broadcast.
Well, DSC Automotive, DSC Racing. Guys that I know really well, evidently, as evidenced by the hat. Performance parts to safety equipment. We also carry Fuel Factory race fuels and dyno services. We're making a big push to try to get into more of the performance aspects for those in and around our area, as we've found that there were a little bit of not too much in our area for performance as far as fuels and safety equipment. We've got the dyno that we operate, so anyone looking to get race motors, muscle car motors up and get them set for the start of the season, fantastic way to do it. So we're the presenting sponsor for tonight. You're tuning in live, send us some comments, folks. I'd love to hear more about it. And if you need to know more about what we do at DSE on the west end of Ontario, as I don't want to take away from the Ogilvy Empire in the east end of Ontario, as we do very similar type things, hit us up anytime. And if you're in the east end, you need to hit up the Ogilvies, because those folks got all the same stuff that I do. Probably some better stuff too, maybe.
No, that's all good. It's neat how it's kind of worked out, right? You and I've done this for a while now together.
Yep.
And then now, our dyno's not together yet, right? We're in the workings of that, but how similar kind of everything ended up being, right? We do almost the same stuff, So neat, but then great in different areas, and it is a dying thing, a dying art, I guess. So then that's we're trying to keep it alive here. You're trying to keep it alive there, and give people a place to go that they don't need to, don't need to head south or drive, 8, 10, 12 hours, wherever that might be, or ship your engines wherever you got to go. Give you an option for somewhere to stay here north of the border. So yeah, I love it. It's about time that we did put something together for DSE on here. So yeah,
I've been thinking about it for a little bit, and I'm like, I need to get my act together here and be able to actually sell some stuff and be able to make those sales before I do too much. But we've got a great addition to our team, and Dave Turner, who some folks out in my part of the world may know. He's got 40 years experience in the aftermarket industry between performance improvement, Keystone. He's my counter guy. He's there Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. If you got any performance needs, that's the guy to call. Outside of, Dave Sturck and myself. If anyone out there looking for anything, whether it's tires, safety equipment, we're a performance or a Pro One performance and safety equipment team member now as well. Impact, Simpson, Mickey Thompson tires. I mean, I can get Hoosier too, but if you're going to ask me my preference, I'm going to tell you that the Mickey Thompson's the way to go. But hey, we don't discriminate on that end of it, right? So
that's it.
But yeah, always feel free to give us a call. Again, if you're in our neck of the woods, and we're putting in our Fuel Factory order, so then out there looking for race fuel, we've got it. We've tried it on the dyno. We've got super stockers running it, Top Sportsman, Top Dragster, Bracket. We got guys been using it. We've been using it on the dyno. It's been great stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. That's going to be the big one. That's the biggest differentiator, because I think you're the only one in Canada. Independent supplier for sure for Fuel Factory. I know you can go through APC stores and whatnot, but which even for that, you can still contact you to go through that channel as well. So yeah, really cool. And then you're a little easier to deal with. I think not easier. Easier is not the right word, but maybe more common knowledge than your regular APC store employee on those products. So yeah, absolutely. Great. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of cool stuff, right? And then obviously these are all products that you use and prove that they work.
That's the big thing, right? Is like similar to yourselves, right? We carry the products that we use, and that's the biggest thing. We get access to things that I'm not putting, in the race carts. Absolutely, we've got access through about 4 different suppliers, but it's one of those things where we opened up a lot of these lines, and maybe I'm tangenting more into a subject here more than an advertisement, but we've got access to all these lines because we use them, and it made sense to be able to offer those to the racing public, and whether it's we do a drag racing oriented show, bracket racing, but truck pulling, stock car racing, demo derby, like I've got clients from all over the place looking for various things because we're all in motorsports, right? But we've been working on growing that quite a bit. But again, the stuff that we're looking to sell is the stuff that we use, have used, would use, and as I said, in a lot of cases are using. So no point in trying to sell something that you wouldn't put on your own car. Learn that in the automotive side. Racing side's really no difference. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. And before we dive into the Canadian countdown, I do want to update for everybody who is paying attention. Tonight we will not be joined by Aaron Stanfield. Bunch of scheduling conflicts. He's a busy man. Got a lot of stuff going on. World Series of Pro Mod champion. Then carried on through the week. Stayed in Florida. Went to Gainesville. Ran. I think he lost round 2 in Pro Stock. And then is actually, I think they're on the Shake and Bake show right now. So that's a lot going on, right? He's got a busy schedule, so we couldn't make it work for this week. That's all good. But we'll look at having Aaron back on here sometime in the future. But yeah, that'd be great. Actually, he was messaging me just before we came on and says he really wants to do this. He says he's a bracket racer at heart. So I'm like, all right, well, I was whatever about not being able to come on. I'm like, all right, well, I guess if you say stuff like that, then we can let this happen. Then we can let this slide. But yeah, Andrew, we'll dive into Canadian countdown. Pretty much, as we all know, like most of the snow's gone actually outside my front door. But we're not quite ready for racing here. But there is some NHRA stuff, and that's pretty much all where we have our results from. So you want to roll us through some divisionals?
Yeah. Can do. So the Division 7 was actually, I believe, the first division to kick off the year at NHRA Racing in Phoenix. Watched a bit of the race over the weekend that it was running a couple weeks back there. Top dragster. So there's actually 3 classes. The Canadians did well out west. Top dragster winner, Grant Dury from Vegreville. If I got that wrong, the Alberta folks will tell me. Beat Thomas Bayer, who's perennial race winner out in Division 7. Pretty big name. I believe he also used to run some super gas stuff, but been hanging out in top dragster. Beat him in the final. Joseph Lucas from St. John, BC, top sportsman runner-up, 680 door car, just hanging out in that crowd, did a great job with that. Sean Cowie, stop me if you've heard that name thrown out here a couple times, but certainly kicked off his 2026 season in fashion, dominated field in qualifying, and then ran front to back on the 8-car field in Phoenix to claim the maximum number of points, and he's won world titles without the good start in Phoenix. So to have the good start is certainly a way to kick off 2026 campaign and see about putting the world championship number 2 on the mantle. From there, we'll kick it over to Orlando, which was the second divisional of the year, Division 2 getting their start. Gianni Cantucci. Been a little bit since I've seen him kind of out and about. He made the trek down. He ended up at the Gators as well, but he kicked off his 2026 campaign with a runner-up in Superstock at the Orlando race. Did go to the Gators, and I think he went around. There was a few different Canadians made the trek down there. I know Charlie Knopik was down there. The Strouds were down there. There was Ryan Boniferro, but the sportsman classes weren't as friendly at the Gators. But I imagine we'll see how the baby Gators work out this week, because they'll be starting in, I guess, Thursday. They'll kick off the baby Gators, and we'll see how that works out. Jeff Steele and Top Alcohol Dragster was down there too. Gainesville itself did see some Canadians on the pro side do well. Spencer Hyde, he had I can't imagine the PTSD over last year's Gators was escaping him too hard. As going into Q4, he had to get into the field, and last year I think they had 2 shots at it, then rain canceled it, so he wasn't able to qualify. But he did get in this year. Started his first Gator Nationals. Lost in round 2. Had a great driving job in round 1. And if anyone watched round 1 of the fuel cars, funny car or dragster, it was a driver's race. There was only a few who were able to make full pulls. Otherwise, it was whoever could get down the field or down the track. Sorry. Great job by Spencer collecting it. Round 2 lost, unfortunately. Same thing. Tough track, and tune-up wasn't in there. Dan Mercier qualified 13th. He has the I guess, a less than joyful aspect of being the first guy to lose to Josh Hart in Josh Hart's debut as a JFR driver, John Force Racing, who would go on to win the race. So you never want to lose in round 1, but I guess you're going to go into the record books as a footnote on that side of the first JFR win in Top Fuel with a driver not named Force. So great start for Josh Hart. Great start for Mercier. They made some really good runs. I think there was a stat that showed some qualifying, and he had made some really good runs, albeit they didn't reflect in a high qualifying position, but made some good passes. The big news, I don't know if it's not Canadian, but I would suggest that those guys are far enough up the Austin Proc, and I'm having a brain fade here on the owner, Tasca, because Tascas are from like the Northeast, like the north of the Northeast. DNQ, 2-time back-to-back world champion, makes the jump from JFR over to the Tasca Ford team. All the procs go, and DNQ on race number 1. Won't get into the politics of that. Some people out there may have been okay with watching that based on being JFR fans. Some people may not have been so happy with that. I would suggest my camp may have been okay with the results we saw. Nonetheless, so kind of a tough start, because that was certainly a controversial move over the offseason on that end. Not what they were looking for on that end. Matty Gordon, so Napa. I don't think it's any surprise that both Brandon and I have some affinity towards the Napa products based on our personal lives and what we do every day in our shops. But Matty Gordon, the Carlisle Tools top fuel dragster driver for Ron Capps, the Napa car. Awesome debut. Like, great start to the year. If you didn't get to watch any of the highlights for her, she qualified for a new car team. They qualified okay. I believe it's Rob Flynn is her tuner, which has the Canadian connection.
Yep.
She got in and got it down to the semifinals. Took out Schumacher, Langdon.
Yep.
Lost to Coletta, I believe. And I mean, you've got what, 10 world championships lined up beside you in your first 3 competitive runs. Langdon, multi-time champion. Schumacher, the best top fuel driver in existence. I think he's number 1.
I think Tony's got 8.
He's north of 6 for sure, and he's the winningest top fuel driver. Like
8 or 9. Schumacher's got 8 or 9. Langdon has 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And Doug's got 1.
2.
Right? 2.
2.
Yeah. So say you got, you're almost 12 or 13 in your first 3 rounds. Yeah. Right? And she was jacked up.
Oh, that was fun.
Right.
Like that was like and I keep hitting on John Force, but she was as close to a John Force interview as I've ever seen, except maybe a little more coherent.
Yeah.
Right. But man, it was exciting to watch her go rounds. The crew was jacked. Fantastic to see a new team, because that's essentially what they are. They aren't another team that came over from somewhere else. This was a brand new operation that's been a few years coming together. And just as a general fan of the sport, like, I don't know how you couldn't be excited about watching that team come together and do as well as they did, and held their own. It wasn't like it was a lucky couple rounds. They made some really good passes. As I said, in round 1, they made a full pull when many of those fuel cars didn't make pulls down the track at all. Round 2, same thing. Outran, very good team in Schumacher and the Rick, I think it's Moore Racing. So Clay Milliken's teammate, right? Like, that's another well-funded, good team. And just came up a little short against Doug Coletta, which can't falter on that. A lot of folks have come up a little short on Doug Coletta and the Coletta Air teams. So
Yeah,
but,
no, it'd be really cool. I saw the video of her driving when they were pulling the car back up to the pits after round one, and like the crowd's going nuts and she's jacked up, and it was really cool. So yeah, that excitement. I said Rachel and I watched it upstairs, just like the clip playing back, and I'm like that changes what I want to do. I think I want to be Matty Gordon, you know. That's what I got.
I got Carlisle Tools on the side there. I got a top fuel team, and I got an owner in Ron Capps. Like who doesn't want to be?
That's it. Exactly.
Right there, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, no, that's awesome. It was great. Like I said, those last 2 points, not necessarily Canadian oriented, but huge impact though. Like NHRA, anything NHRA does, right, does have an impact on Canadian drag racing. So, and worth talking about. And everybody here knows those stories. Right, everybody's seen that stuff. You have to, if you follow any of that stuff, you've seen Matty Gordon, and you've seen the Austin Prock stuff, right? So, it's interesting.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think as a general fan, right? I mean, like that's what we, many of us are, as we're bracket racing, walking around. There's been lots of times I've been at big money bracket races with NHRA on the, the screen in the trailer. Beside my crew chief pro predicting what I'm trying to run right now, right? So, awesome deal. If you want to make it a little bit Canadian, Carlisle Tools are available at all Napa Auto Pro and Auto Care shops, similar to Ogilvy and DSE.
That is correct. That is indeed correct. I've got some in my toolbox now. Actually, got some toolbox. I got tools. We got a jack. What else we got? We had a good amount of Carlisle stuff rolling through now. It looks sweet. It's wicked.
It's good stuff. I don't mind it.
So we'll dive in now. Like I said, we were going to talk about some World Series Pro Mod stuff with Aaron Stanfield. We'll save that. We'll do that, obviously, at a later time. We can still talk about World Series Pro Mod a little bit. Wicked event. Awesome, as it always is. I don't know how many Pro Mods they had. I think it was north of 70 trying to qualify. 32-car field. They did not get an all 50s field again. I think the bump was 360 with a 4 with a 7, like
right in that range,
flying. But number one was 355.
Yeah.
So 32 cars once again separated by 500s. Great race. Round one, right? They went out and the track wasn't great. Big time drivers race most of the day. Which was really cool. It was a lot of fun to watch. I had a great time watching it. We'll talk about Spencer Hyde. Spencer qualified really well.
Yeah.
Went out there and laid down a bunch of good laps. Every run he made in qualifying was in the 50s.
Yeah.
So had that set up. Goes up, pulls a chip draw, gets Kenny Lang. Not great. Right, no. Both Canadians that are in there end up running each other around one.
Silver lining thing, right? You got two Canadians racing together. You're guaranteed a Canadian in round two, but I would love to have seen two Canadians in round two.
Yeah. And then Kenny Lang was laying it down. Yeah. Al Billis was out there laying it down with him. Right, like I watched them. They lost round 3. We did verify that before the show. They lost round 3. I watched the first 2 rounds. I'm like, Kenny Lang's winning this thing.
If that track stayed hot, like there is no one better. And they talked about it on the podcast or the broadcast. Sorry.
Yeah.
Billis has a tuner on hot tracks. There's no one running faster. On the idea that like you can't run stupid fast on a hot Florida track like what that was shaping up to. And I think as that track came around a bit, that's where you saw them trying to step on it a bit more, and everyone else started to catch back up. You really start to see those, low 60, high 50 runs really catch in. But I mean, like I wouldn't have bet against him after watching the run they laid down in round 1 and round 2. But once that track started to really come around, then everything else just evened back up. I think is what happened there. But boy, that was fun, and said they just needed a hot track to be there, and I would suggest we'd be talking about Kenny Lang, instead of we'd probably talking to Kenny Lang today versus an Aaron Stanfield per se. Not that I don't want to talk to Aaron Stanfield, but
No, it would have been pretty cool. it was neat watching. My dad flew down for the event. He was down there with Johnny Golka and Polly. They were hanging out. They went for all 3 days. Yeah, they were there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They had a lot of fun. They hung out with Wes Buck at, I can't remember what night, if it was Thursday night or Friday night. I think it was Thursday. They were hanging out with Wes. They had a little party, I think, after the racing was all done in the tent. Wes actually gave them all VIP tickets for the rest of the weekend. So that was cool. They went back and got set up with that. And yeah, so they had a lot of fun. Mike and Vicky were down there. They ran into them on the Friday for qualifying. Watch for that one because like the Friday night, the final qualifying round, right? That's the time to be there, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like when they're laying it all out, right? All 70 of these dudes or 75, whatever it is, they're laying it down to get in the show, you know? And that bump spot just kept moving and moving. It was neat keeping track.
You're watching guys and girls fighting for their play or their qualifying lives, right? Like if you're in, you're trying to make some more room on 32. If you're not in, you're just trying to find 21 or something to make sure that maybe you got a spot. And I think it shuffled. I believe there was one that I'm trying to think of who the racer was. I think they started at 7, and after 3 sessions, like they were sitting in 30th, and their number 7 run was like that's
pretty
solid.
neat.
Like, when
Yeah.
you not land 7 in any qualifying session and go like I'm not safe, right, in a 32 car field. And that last session's fun, and then watch the bumping start happening and people come in and out, and bumping into 30th, and knowing there's like 10 more cars behind them that got to go. And my math says if those 10 cars bump, you ain't 30th anymore. Yes, they all just bump in behind you. It was wild.
Yeah,
Some of the best racing on the planet.
Oh, absolutely. I watched it because we were down at Ashley and Nick's watching, and Erica was out. Erica got in. Erica was back out, and the whole list was like that. It's exciting to watch. So yeah, they went down. They had a great time. Bunch more Canadians were all down there hanging out, watching. It's a great event. It's so much fun, right? The competition and the energy there is so cool. So neat to see. Wild to see. Somebody else that I want to talk to at some point is Peter Norton. Peter won the Winter Series Points Championship, and this is first Winter Series, right? Like Peter Norton's a rookie in these race cars. It was driving really well, and stuff was flying. So that was a cool story. Yeah, lots of Pro Mod stuff. Pro Mod's so cool.
It's a big class right now, and that Winter Series I think has done a great job, really bringing all the associations in some capacity together, right? Because I mean everyone's got a Winter Series combo now, and that was touched on even when they were working through Pro Modified at the Gators, right? That you've got guys like Lyle Barnett getting Stevie Fast racing against the Weatherfords who don't run over an NHRA side, right? Peter Norton who's new to this level of racing, right? Yeah, and against Aaron Stanfield, pro stock standout. I mean, I know he can race with anything. His resume is very long, right? Eric Enders, right? Like you've got pro stock versus quarter mile pro mod, PDRA pro mod, outlaw pro mod, Midwest pro mod, all coming together. It's as close to an all-star style race as you can ask for while still being authentic competition. The only thing I got to ask for is someone to figure out how to make the nitrous cars competitive, because it's absolutely killing me not seeing hood scoops and nitrous flames. Halsey, Jim Halsey's about the only one that's in the running of it, right? But
yeah, Halsey's the only one that's there right now.
Yeah. And even at that, like, I'm not sure he's able to go 354. I don't think that car has it. But you give them a hot track type deal, they can probably make it work. Back to it's Florida, but we've all saw that. I guess it was I think it was the Snowbirds that had the 350 field, right? I'm not sure if that was the one that he wrecked at.
He wrecked at the I think he wrecked at the Snowbirds, but the U.S. Street Nationals was the all 50 field.
Yeah, so then he's probably in on that, but I think it was as low as 353 or 354. I mean, one of the two races there. I'm not sure a nitrous car's got that, on a big tire in it, but hey, they'll figure it out. There's
Yeah.
rules, people getting paid to figure that stuff out, and they're
Yeah.
paid more than I am. So there's a reason.
Exactly. So Andrew, we talked about a little bit at the start of the show. We haven't hung out a lot together lately.
Yep.
But you have been going to racetracks, or you've went
Yeah.
to a racetrack.
Well, let's do a racetrack.
Went to a racetrack. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so just one of those random things. We won a trip down to Australia through one of our suppliers, Napa. Might as well throw everything out there. Ideal Supply, Napa. And while there, we went to Sydney, and while there, I found out there's a racetrack like 40 minutes away. So naturally, got on the horn, seeing if I could figure out what that's all about. We unfortunately flew out the day before their first big points race. But we were able to make it over for a Wednesday night test and tune, which did have some race cars there on top of just the normal street stuff. Really cool deal. Like, if you've got a chance to watch any of the Australian races, Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, they've got some neat facilities. And I got to admit, like, on a Wednesday night deal, they had a live broadcast, both announcers up and running. In the staging lanes, there's a live screen. You can watch the live broadcast from behind the drive-under tower. Just a wild deal. And like a Vegas-style motorplex. It is gigantic. You don't really appreciate it until you're driving into it and trying to explain to the Uber driver that like the front gate is still a kilometer from where you need to be. So keep going. Don't stop, right? I need to be, at that track, not this track. Yeah, really cool experience. Met some great folks there. Called in a few favors from a few people to make some contacts for me, and got to hang out in the tower. Great folks. Really appreciate everyone at Sydney for putting up with me meandering around and asking 10,000 questions. But it was really cool. Different scene. I mean, I don't think it made me appreciate some of the racing that we've got over here a little bit more. Like, you're seeing. Like, their gas over there is $1.80 a liter on a good day. Gas, right? Diesel's $2 a liter on a good day. Not like what we're seeing right now, where it's like an "oh my god, what are we seeing" type day. Vehicles are expensive. We were joking around and talking about it. And like an F-150 imported over there, which none of us would really consider per se the F-150 to be the tow vehicle of choice for what we're towing around, but like. That is a pretty exotic vehicle over there for sizing, just because of the nature of the continent. Like, it's $180,000 because you're bringing it over from the U.S. and then converting it to a right-hand drive. So not as big a robust equipment, and if it is, it gets a spread-out country. So when you go over there and you see what it's like to go to the track and what it's like to have to run through things, and the price of equipment and the price of bringing stuff in, really kind of cool. LS powered everything. Really unique stuff over there. Left side, right side drives. It's kind of wild walking through the lanes, and you're trying to walk up 3 cars, and you've been on the passenger side and the driver's side of multiple different cars, and you haven't left the lane you've been walking down, right? Yeah, really cool deal. Exciting to kind of see it. We went up the coast a bit. I watched some of the racing from the Saturday that we couldn't make. I did adamantly try to see if I could get myself a super gas ride, a rent to ride, but and was willing to figure out my own travel accommodations to catch up with the crew, but that didn't come to fruition for me. But it wasn't from a lack of trying. So.
Yeah, well, that's the spirit, bud. That's the spirit. Got to do what you got to do.
Hey, trying, right? Yeah. So yeah, it was really neat. Wish I could have seen more tracks, ran into more people. Carl Taylor, didn't get a chance to run into him, but made a new friend while I was down there. He was getting ready to go racing when I was just on my way out. Our buddy Wally Clark hooked us up, but yeah. Made some super gas friends. It's really, really neat being able to just go down there and chat throttle stop racing and, the differences, right? Small blocks are a big thing down there. Big blocks are not. And I'd say opposite up here. Very hard to find small blocks in super racing. No leaded fuels unless you're a pro team, right? It's some of the things that we would have gone through and we'd worried about years ago. It's the stuff that they've had to go through. And you got to be like a registered pro team in order to get leaded fuels, and that is not what Supergas and other guys run on. So methanol and high octane unleaded, that's your tickets. So it's again expensive, but yeah.
Neat. It's so interesting to learn about. Like, it's all the same, but it's also different at the same time. Yeah. If that makes sense, right? Like, the racing's the same, but how you accomplish that goal is so different. like I said, the different challenges and really how fortunate we have or that we are to be here, and then same with the racers in the United States, right? That's the best place to be for any of that, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we're not too bad when you compare it to what it could be. We talked to some folks from the UK a few years ago when we started Bracket Life, and they were sending us pictures because you need like the trailers could only be so long, so
Yeah.
the fronts of the dragsters have pivots on them, and then so they would disconnect and undo the front of the dragster so it could fit in this trailer that's of a certain length, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't
Yeah.
just have a 24-foot trailer, and not just everybody could be driving that around. So, yeah. It's interesting stuff, but
It is. It is. And they're still getting it done. Still, it's they've got some fantastic equipment, right? And they figure out how to make it work on a different level of trials and tribulations than what we experienced. So
absolutely. Sandra, we have a couple things that I want to talk about, a couple different topics,
Yeah.
whatever. I want to talk about points. Talk about that. I want to talk about the Bracket Super Tour. We have 3 more topics that I definitely want to hit, and we're going to waste up the next half hour talking about these 3 topics for everybody who's here. So we'll start with Super Tour points. Something new for 2026. New format, 3 classes, 1 ranking, 1 champion. So I'll explain it first, then we'll have some discussions about what we think about this. So before, for the Super Tour, if you hadn't run this before or didn't really know, then they separated it into 3 categories. I'm not including junior in this because junior's separate, so that is what it is. Super Pro Dragster, Super Pro Door Car, Semi Pro. Semi Pro be your foot brake, your not no box because it's foot brake class. So that's how they separate it. Now all the points for Super Pro between Door Car and Dragster are mixed together. So, but there's a Dragster champion and a Door Car champion. But so 2024, I won the Super Pro Dragster Championship. I finished 3rd in the points. So I was 3rd overall. There was 2 Door Cars in front of me for that, but like I said, I was the Dragster champion anyways. And then last year, then I was 1st, and then 2nd place was the Door Car champion. So that's how that worked. And then Semi Pro obviously was just on its own. You had your own championship. Now 2026. And the purses for that was, I believe it was $3,000 to win Super Pro and to win Door Car and Dragster. I'm not sure what Semi Pro was. I didn't pay attention to it because I don't run it. It's not personal. I didn't have any investment into that myself. But would have paid a certain purse for being the champion there. Now they're all getting mixed together. So just make sure that I know this right. So yeah, Super Pro Door Car, Super Pro Dragster, and Foot Brake is all going in one class. All the points are all coming together. We won't race each other. So the Dragsters run each other until 4 cars. And then we mix with the Door Cars at 4. And then Semi Pro is just going to be its own thing. But yeah, so now our points are all going to stack up with everyone. Before, they paid top 10 spots in both classes. So Super Pro and Semi paid top 10. Now we pay top 12 overall out of everyone. Entry fee, $150 per entry. $5,000 cash to win the overall national championship, plus Carlisle Tools toolbox or tool cart. 1500 series tool cart. Then it goes 5,000, 2,500, 2,000, 15, 1, and then down through 12 spots. A $500 bonus for the top finisher of each class except for the champion. So if you're, say a Super Pro Door Car racer wins the national championship, they win $5,000, and then second place is a Semi-Pro racer, they get $2,500. Well, because you're the top Semi-Pro racer, you get a bonus $500.
Yeah.
And then same would go for the Dragster champion or whoever. So interesting thoughts. It says best 10 scores out of 11 races. That's what they've been doing for however many years now.
Yeah, it's been a few years like that.
Yeah, because the Brack Bonanza has the race on the Friday, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So then if you can't make that Friday race, that doesn't necessarily penalize you. It takes your best 10 out of 11. So I guess I'll start. I've thought some about this. Jay actually sent me over what the update would have been here. And then the difference is, so the overall payout for everyone, the purses is still the same size.
Yeah.
So now, from my understanding, now it's just going to get paid out to, instead of 20 people, now it's down to 12.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. The changes, not really a whole lot, would have made a difference. Yeah, it was 3,500 to win overall champion in Super Pro, 1,500 in Semi Pro.
Right.
That's what it was. So, yeah, like it looks decent. It's a lot of money stacked on top. Obviously, that cranks me up because I want, $5,000 to win the Carlisle Toolbox because that thing's wicked. So I like that personally. But overall, when you look at this whole deal for everyone, I'm not sure how much it benefits the whole group. Personally, like I said, as I just pointed out, right, we used to pay 20 people or 20 spots, right? Now we're paying 12. Now you're mixing them all in. So I do have the top 10. Okay, so I have the top 12 here for last year, and out of the 12, we would have 6 and 6. So 6 Super Pro racers and 6 foot brake racers, with 3, and perfectly even mix too. 3 dragsters, 3 door cars, and then 6 foot brake cars. So would have been the mix for 2025. So yeah, we have a decent mix there. Some people or feedback that I've seen, people had different thoughts because of, it used to be semi-pro would get more rounds. Overall, like there was just a larger field. I find that both fields have evened out a lot more in the last few years, so I don't think it makes much of a difference. Nobody really has necessarily an advantage in that way. I just think overall we're, there's the same amount of money getting paid out. It's just spread between less people. In a time with where we are, with how expensive everything is, I think that's detrimental to it. Now, should everyone get a participation award? No, absolutely they shouldn't. But throwing somebody, like getting a little back is better than getting 0 back, right? Yeah. So what are your initial thoughts of this, Andrew?
So points racing stuff. I'll wear 2 different hats here for half a second. I've been the one who put on a point series. We had our DSC Sportsman Racing Series. We had multiple classes. Getting together championship points funds is a really uphill battle. And getting a good one, right? It is much more daunting to find year-end points, prizes, funding, and money than it is to do a singular race for $10,000 or $20,000 and finding sponsors and marketing partners and free prizes for stuff like that. So I get the amalgamation of it. It takes a little pressure off. As you said, there's less position to have to kind of find it for. The class amalgamation's a tough one. And I don't want to speak ill of anything, because I give credit to anyone willing to do, what the Super Tour is doing, because it's a lot of work. There's no question about it. What rubs me a bit is the inability to hold your destiny in your own hands against racers that you're competing against, but you're not really competing against. Like when you can roll in the lanes, and not that you're looking to cherry pick, but if there's a chance I can run into Brandon Barker in round 2 with my Corvette, which is traditionally my door car entry, right? Mustang being the dragster entry. You and I might match up in round 2. When it's in semi-pro and I'm not even got an entry in that class, there's no chance I can run into name anyone, any of the champions in semi the last couple of years at all, ever. Because I'm not racing against them yet. Every week, I'm going toe to toe against them for points, and you can't always get the matchups you want. I mean, that's kind of the point of how we randomize the lanes and whatever system you're using. But there is a chance where round 3 might see a key pivotal matchup at a race, and it may not be pivotal in race 3, but when you go back, 7 races from that point, it might have been a pivotal round where it said Andrew and Brandon matched up, and Brandon came out on top, or Andrew came out on top. But when you can't get that matchup, and it'll go the other way, if you're a semi-pro guy or girl chasing points, you don't get to, unless you double and move over to the super pro side and double up entirely, which you can do moving up. We foot brake all day long in super pro, but you're not really taking your super pro car down to semi pro in most cases. You're really blocking that out, and that's where I struggle with that idea. I can't have the possibility of the matchup. I mean, I even struggle with the idea a bit when you have door car and dragster, because again, I could go round for round in my Mustang, again, my dragster entry, right? Similar to you going round for round in your dragster entry. If my door car entry is over there, we never see each other until maybe the final 4. And in which case then, either one of us has only 2 rounds we could possibly make up on the other one. So every week we're going 6 rounds. Let's call it an 8-round race every week. Every week we're going 6 rounds. We're never going to have a chance on that format. And then you add a third class where you can't even enter, right? It's just, I struggle with that. And I think it takes a little bit of the authenticity away. I mean, as has been pointed out, Stefan Balaton, Stefan could go out there and do have a dominant year in semi-pro, and a justifiable one. But if no one in super pro can race him, he could put 7 races on the board, and no one has a chance of even trying to match up against him unless they go borrow a super semi-pro car, go over there, and try to race him. And if they do well doing it, they get no points for their efforts because they're not in that. So that's my struggle with the combined idea, and I've seen it in different places. And I mean, I don't want to take away from anything else. The only flip side to this as well is just I really loathe the 10 out of 11. This is a generic stance. Any race series that does this gets my same ire. It eliminates the chance of the 3/4 dedicated racer, the ones who aren't local, from having a chance at chasing the points. And that's where I think that, give your points championship a chance. Big fan of the Can-Am Stock Super Stock series for one of the big reasons that they do 6 out of 12.
Okay.
And the one thing I see every Can-Am race is they have 30 to 40 racers almost everywhere they go, dedicated, chasing points. Because the reality is, you don't have to go to every event to have a shot at the title. But they still get 30 or 40 people. Even the last race of the year, it doesn't trail off because I got no shot. When you're claiming best 6 out of 12 or best 6 out of 13, you have to improve on your score. You can have a perfect score. If you put up 6 wins, that's great. But if 5 of those wins come at 5-round races and you have a 6-round race coming up, you can still improve on it. And the reality is, if you're terrible at the first 4 races, if I come out to the first 3 weekends of the Super Tour and just do nothing, which God knows, I haven't done that before, I'm out anyway. I got no hope of doing anything. I could go on a heater on the back half, but if you're on a heater and Chenyer's on a heater, Dave and Pam Rennie, are doing stuff, Kyle does what Kyle does, consistent racing is kind of what I'm getting at here. Doesn't matter what I do in the back end. I'm toast anyway. I'm probably going to skip a couple of these races. Can pick a couple that I want to go to. So, one argument is if we do a 10 out of 11, it forces people to make decisions to go, and really forces them into that in a good way. But on the flip side, it's going to make it a little harder for those a little further out, because if they're out early or just they're not doing well, it's easier to make decisions to go somewhere else. And not that you're saying like, but when like there is conflicts, not every race is on its own weekend. So, you know, there's two sides to it. If you're going to put everyone in the same class like that, um, reduce the claims, give it a shot to be a little bit more than what it is. Like overall, you got to make it work. The Super Tour is great racing. The points fund is really strong. Like that's a great championship to win. They're trying things to make that work, and all the applause from me on that.
Yeah, and that was my thought when overall, I'm not sure how much I think this is the perfect move.
Yeah.
There's not really a perfect move. Nothing's going to benefit every single person. I think it's great. Now, I've been fortunate. I've won the tour 3 times. Twice was the overall champion, and then once was just the dragster champion. So I'm like, okay, I got $3,500 for both those wins. The overall wins. So now you're telling me that I was getting $5,000 for these, and a toolbox. Like I love it.
Yeah.
Like that's wicked. And where else is there a race series that you can go and run for $5,000 for the points championship, right?
Exactly.
Like that is. I don't want to take away from that because I feel like I've talked down a little bit about it, but yeah, that's the thing. Is like there's nowhere else. I don't know where. Like I'm sure there's places in the States. I don't know what Norwalk pays for their points championship. You know what I'm saying? But like, there's not a series like this anywhere else that pays this or has this kind of money in that points fund. So that's huge.
Like 12th place isn't a $50 certificate and a handshake, right?
Yeah.
Like it's still got some monetary aspect to it that from the investment side of the points fund, like $150, there's still something there, 10th, 11th, or 10th, 9th, 8th. Like it's not nothing, which speaks to some of the depth on it, right? And, again, to finish 12th, I mean, when you look at it, there's been years when I was following it, I mean, Super Pro was 40, 50 points entries deep. Like a top 10 finish was a legitimately good finish.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you finished 10th out of 12 cars in points, right?
Yeah.
Like there's 40 entries and you're hovering around 10th. Yeah. You're there. So to pay back the way they have, like that is a good return for a deep point setup, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm just trying to look here to see how many points members we had last year. We had 57 in Super Pro and scrolling on the bottom, 27 in semi.
Yeah.
So
take those two numbers and throw
so
them
we
together,
got
right?
we got 80 entries total. That's I think they're hoping for that to grow, right? As the people, the competitiveness does pick up. So it should be cool. They do also have the new number 1, the King of the Tour trophy. So which would be very cool, right? I feel like I'm not just typing this because I want it and I want everybody to know that. Obviously I do, but I'm like, I got this cool plaque. So I'm like, whatever. This King of the Tour thing we wicked. I'm like, now you need one of them.
Yeah.
So no, they're doing a lot of great stuff. And like I said, I don't want to take away from that and kind of diminish the efforts that are being put forth, right? Because then the same thing, it could go the other way. And okay, well now we're paying 30 spots, but now it's $2,000 to win the points, not 3,500, which what it was last year, or this 5. So, it is what it is. There's only so many options, and there's only so much money to kind of go around. So, we're grateful to have the chance to race for this type of money for a point series. So, should be awesome. A lot of good stuff coming out of the tour. I had some conversations with a couple of folks there. We're talking about the Bracket Bonanza on the weekend. Kyle and I will be doing the Bonanza 5-day point series again. So that's the little bracket, which is the weekend before, and then the main event races for the Bracket Bonanza. So that point series will also get a little bit of a bump up here. I don't want to officially tell you what it's going to be yet, but it's good good amount for race that you're already going to be at. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool, and that's where is that took a bigger chunk out of our time than I thought, but that's how it goes, right? That's all good. Something that I want to talk about next. It was a cool post on Facebook I saw this afternoon. The OG Million, so the original $1 million race, had on Facebook. Now those races are getting massive, right?
Oh, gigantic.
It's huge. It's unbelievable what. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I look it up. How big it is, because like when we went in 2018, say there was like 350 entries, give or take, in that area then, and then I think like they were almost touching 500 last year, and so like these things are huge now and the problem with that is the splits then with the amount of money, the split conversations take a lot longer to finish.
Yes, I do.
Right?
Yeah.
So they put out a post here today. Well, I think it's gone. No, I still got a pinned post up here. Might be gone now. But they were talking about what they're looking for, racers' opinions as to if they had, right, we're working on 500 cars, 500 entries for this race. Do you keep it all one day and have no time trial the morning of the million?
Yep.
Or do we have a time trial the morning of the million and then run the race over 2 days? Because they don't want to be finishing this thing at 2 or 3 in the morning anymore. Is my understanding, right?
And they're marathons to race. They're marathons to watch, right? I mean, I'm not 100% sure I can remember the last million, East Coast million, because again, West Coast million is a different animal, 3 hours difference.
Yeah.
That I've gotten to the end of. Like stayed up, been able to watch it because like evidently at 41 I'm old now and tired, and I'm gonna go to bed, right? But it's a long day, to the point that you have something minor go wrong, whether it's on track, unfortunate incident, an engine decides to become multiple components versus just one harmonious one, or rain, you're not finishing in any sort of timely time. I'm split on it. I've had the luxury of entering some big money races like this. I've had two different attitudes towards it. My more modern attitude is, let's get after it. If I've been here for 4 days and made no less than 5, 6, or 8 runs down this track in whichever entry or entries I'm riding with, I'm good. Let's get after it. I'm bringing my buyback money with me, and prepared to use it, right? At that particular level, I'll skip the 20 grand buyback lane if budgeting is a problem. I'm definitely making sure I got the money to go back into the million. Let's not bother wasting time with this. Let's just go after it. The guy who has to pay $2,000 or $2,500 is there on a whim. This is their dream, just to enter the race and be in that round one bracket, not running off of the ridiculously stupid level of confidence that I probably would be. Not that that's in a right place either. I'm gonna say I bought a time trial. Like, give me one shot to make sure that I'm ready for today. And if I can get deep, get on a bit of a run, and make it to day number 2, okay. Like, clearly something's going my way, and I'm getting there. So I think a lot of this depends on just where your head's at. Not everyone rolling into the $1 million race, not all 500 entries are whatever you want to define as a professional touring bracket racer, right? I don't define myself as such and whatnot. I've had people look at me and go, wow, like, you're one of them now. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't have 5 checks on the wall, 10 checks on the wall. Am I confident with a blind run? Yeah, I am. That's where my operation's at. I have no problem taking 2 different cars up there on blind runs, but not everyone's there. I was very much on the side where, what do you mean blind run? I just spent $2,500 and I don't get one shot at the track before round 1. So I can argue this both ways. It depends, I think, on what you want this to become.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing. If you want to make this this is the every man and woman's race, doesn't matter if you're a multi-time world champion, multi-time big money champion, or the person who scrounged enough together to say, I ran round one of the million, then I think you give the time trial and you run it like a normal race, regardless of what's happened prior up to that. If this is going to be an elite type deal, which, you can argue it is already, but there's still lots of people there who they scrounge the money together and probably, well, they'll tell you they have no business probably being in round 4, but if God forbid they get there, right, they'll tell you about how great they were. If you want it to be elite, yeah, then move it to that. I think you're going to see an entry repercussion from that. But it depends on what you're looking to do. I would also suggest if you're going to go to the blind run and take the hit on the entries, which plausibly could happen. I'm going to spend other people's money for a second here. I think you need to come up with a format that maybe has a better shot at getting to $1 million, like paying $1 million, right? So maybe this leads back to make the race favorable for the everybody. Run the time trial, run it over 2 days, and now it's a fair shot. Again, if I'm running into round 3, which when you do the buybacks is probably a realistic day. Time trial, re-entry round 1, round 2. Round 3 is tomorrow morning.
So do we run a time trial round 3 or no?
No, I think at that point you call it blind, right? Like, and again, I'm rolling off the idea that if you're in that, I've bought in, but I want my time trial. Like, I'm not at that level of elite, but like, listen, tomorrow morning, like if you've gotten into round 3 at this point, you're there on a whim with low expectations, right? I have a little bit of confidence I can come off the trailer and do something. So again, I'm there, and it's not like there's 500 cars waiting for me. I mean, by then there's some really good racers that aren't part of this race anymore, right? If you're doubled, even better. Now, every person's probably not doubling at this race, right? But you know what? I think you roll with that. And what that does now is you've got your 8 or 9 a.m. start, and you're going to get done in decent time. The splits are going to happen. You're not sitting there wondering what the track's going to do. Is the track going to be good? Is the dew setting in? Are we dragging in enough? Like, if you really want it to be an elite race, and maybe as I'm working through this as I talk, that's an elite race. You don't want the track conditions being the deciding factor on arguably the biggest race, drag bracket race of the year. So make it 2 days. If you're having 500 cars, you're already at an elite level. Just break it up so that now it's not a survival race to an extent. And it's done in operating hours that give everyone the best shot regardless. And in prime time.
Mm-hmm. I think that for me, no, I don't have my stuff dialed in quite on the weather's not anywhere near your operation, right? So my blind run stuff, I'm not going to be great at it, right? Yeah. Not as confident, right? For sure. Yeah. Now, my stuff's also pretty decent. Yep. And we're not like when we did it before, we were racing in October, like late October in Alabama. Now we're running September, early mid-September, right? In St. Louis. So I don't know how much, like I've never raced St. Louis. I'm not going to tell you that I know how to dial there. But based on what it looks like, it's not moving a whole lot. Maybe it is. Maybe somebody can come tell me that it is. And that'd be fine. But and the circumstances for me is that if we have no time, if I get to round 3, like you said, like we get a time trial and I get to round 3 and then I have to go to round 3 blind, I'd rather go to round 1 blind and have the buyback round. You know, because remember this race, right? $2,000 to enter, $500 to buy back in. First round's a $500 time trial. Right? And like that, I'm not saying that's the right attitude to have, but like for my personal opinion, if I'm driving that way or we're going down there, I'm doubled, right? Probably in the same race car. And that first run, I'm going to hope for the best, right? We're going around 1 just blind. I'm going to hope for the best. I turn a wind light on. If not, then we're going to get as much data as we can from that. We go to the buyback round for that one, $500. Now we don't have time for this right now, but there's another argument that you're almost better off to be in the buyback round if round two is not going to be for, if you're early and round two is not going to be for 6 hours, you're better off to lose and then make another run in between. Now, granted, you can go turn the wind light on in the buyback round, so I understand the logistics of that, right? I'm not just saying, oh yeah, no, just lose and you get an extra run and then you can come to round two more prepared. Or you go get waxed in the buyback round and then you're in the trailer before round two even thinks about starting. So
the addict bracket racer here says 2 entries, lose one intentionally on a split buyback, go to the buyback window, try to get the second entry through to round two, do that cleanly, great. Go to the buyback with your half paid for buyback, get the intermediate run, win, lose, or draw. And at least going into round two, you've had one run, maybe 2 entries. There's a few people I've probably lost here whose eyes have glossed over on this insanity. But yes, there can be a long conversation about how to get to round two using one and a buyback as your time trial / real round one.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where I stand on it. I was going to ask that in the comments, but wisely they turned comments off because there's a bunch of clowns that'll comment on this stuff that are probably never going to ever go to the million, and they're just going to complain. So
social media.
That's it. Yeah, bunch of keyboard warriors. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Is if we're going over 2 days, I want a time trial both days because it doesn't make sense to me to be able to have a time trial before round one, but then I'm going into round 3 or 4, whatever it is, blind. When those are more of a high stakes round. So that's what I think on that. Andrew, I'll give you 2, maybe 3 minutes to give us a roundup of the IHRA fun, and then we're wrapping this up. That's it. That's all you got.
That's all right. It may not need any more. So we've talked a lot about the IHRA, the highs and the lows. It's. I feel like I'm on part of the greatest soap opera in drag racing history, right? If you haven't followed it, we saw it not this weekend. Next weekend's the first event of the year, of the 12 race Nitro Jam Series. The big news this past week was the chief operating officer, Scott Woodruff, who's recently did an interview on 1320, I believe, about the IHRA and like, I mean,
there was,
ready to run through walls, ready for this. And he's no longer employed by IHRA. In a very surprise move, he was fired. There was a lot of controversy over how it was done. He went to the news first, and then IHRA came out with an order on who the new chief operating officer is, which was Doug Foley Jr., two-seater, I guess his nickname, right, if you know him in the U.S. And they also lost their VP of marketing. It was less media-oriented as the Woodruff, who has connections with Jigs. I believe he was a higher up in the Jigs world, very well known in the pro side, which they're trying to do. I mean, they're trying to get pro cars into the series. So that created a lot of the spiral going the other way. What's happening, right? This first race is going to be interesting because I want to suggest Woodruff had a lot of connections, influence on the pro side of the world. Not all the pros, but particularly some that I think were coming with a little more influence than maybe others. Again, not personal info, just, Detective Andrew trying to look into this enough going, well, what's happening here?
Yeah.
So anyway, it'll be interesting to watch. We'll see how the first one goes at Galat. The testing amounts certainly haven't turned a lot of cranks at $500 a day, regardless of whether you're, Scott Palmer or, Brandon Barker. I shouldn't say that. I don't want to put you at the bottom end. Andrew Sturck.
Yeah.
Whether you're, Palmer or Andrew Sturck, it's $500. And then the schedule it's taken some heat from the sportsman racers about having to be there for 3 or 4 days to get one race done when last year they were doing 2. But, we'll see. I know there's some really big players. Think like guys like Matt Daddis who are packing up 2 cars, super stock, and I think like a hot rod style setup to head down there and run it. So it's certainly got the attention still of some really big sportsman racers, pro racers. So we'll see how it works out, but it's going to be an interesting ride. See how this all shakes out over the next few months in the IHRA side.
Absolutely. It's yeah, I don't know. We're leaving it at that. It's crazy. It's funny, all the winter drama and people, chanting for, the demise of NHRA, and then they go out and they have like a sellout Gator Nationals that was unbelievable, right? For the 75th anniversary. Like I said, I didn't want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it quick. Right? The highlights for me, Kenny Bernstein was in the booth talking. Huge Kenny Bernstein
Bob
fan.
Fry.
Bob Fry was in the booth too,
Oh,
right?
nice that, man. Yeah.
Like Bob, and then in there calling the shots, qualifying. Like it was just so cool, right?
Did you for a minute just go back to being like 8, 9, or 10 years old watching NHRA?
Yeah.
And Bob Fry, like,
Yeah.
I'm in my shop with it on Friday. Yeah, we were working Friday, but the race was on.
Yeah.
And like,
You
I
don't
just
have to
felt
lie
like
to
a
me.
kid. Oh, I know, but there's people out there who still
That's
think I
it.
work on
That's it.
Fridays.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, honestly, that was, and he didn't miss a beat. That was
Yeah.
the Bob Fry of the Bob Fry era.
Yeah.
You messaged me and said, could you imagine how wild it would be to have Bob Fry in 75th, at least for one day at every event?
Yeah.
I'd never raced on that day.
No, absolutely.
just-
You just gotta
watch
watch
the
it.
pro show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it. Like I remember watching the VHS tapes, and then it was like the season recap, and then and Bob threw all that. Just great stuff. But yeah, so NHRA is off to a
Classics. Yeah.
NHRA off to a wicked start.
Yeah.
To 2026 for their 75th anniversary. IHRA, I wish them the best. I hope for the best. I hope it all works out. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff always going on over there, right? Nothing ever gets boring there. I'm not sure it ever will. Yeah.
No, you got the calm, like, classic neighbor in NHRA, and IHRA is kind of like the new neighbor. Like, what are those guys yelling about over there now?
Yeah.
So,
Why are they all yelling? I have no idea, man.
exactly.
Yeah. But that's it. So that's it for our episode here. A lot of fun. Andrew, I will see you, as long as everything goes well, I will see you Saturday, Motorama Car Show. We will be there, and I'm sure a bunch of you guys will be there as well. I've talked to a few folks that are going, so we'll come up for the day and hang out and go from there. So hope to see a bunch of folks there. If you do see us walking around, then make sure you stop us, say hello, and talk about some racing. It's getting nice outside, or it was for a couple days. So I want to go racing again. I'm jacked up.
That show always seems to get the blood pumping a little bit, right? To go back and do some work. So
Exactly. But all right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for hanging in for this one. We'll talk to we'll have Aaron Stanfield on a later episode. We'll see what happens. Make some scheduling stuff work for all of us. Thanks DSE Automotive and DSE Racing for support for the Bracket Life broadcast tonight. And yeah, we'll talk to you all later.
sounds good. Have a good night.
Bracket racing isn't just what we do, it's who we are. It's how we identify ourselves.
What does bracket racing mean to me? It's my life. It's where my people are. My idols, my family, my friends.
Bracket racing is life. Bracket life.